Now, Troy Bramston, writing in The Australian, I know, of course, you don't wish ill and I don't put you in this category, but geez, you gave it to the great man today. Today, like most people, I look on with complete horror at Donald Trump's disastrous presidency, which has diminished the office and damaged the reputation of the US. Trump is an utterly grotesque figure, a bully, a narcissist, a serial liar, and a fool who is devoid of empathy. He is reckless and dangerous. He is completely out of his depth in the White House. Why today? Why so angry?
Well, Paul, look, I mean, I've had great admiration for the presidency since I was in primary school. I've been to presidential libraries. I went to George Bush's second inauguration. I've interviewed presidents. I love the presidency. My favourite presidents are Republican presidents like this guy, Dwight D. Eisenhower. You know, it was VE Day last week, and I like Ike, and if this was the 1950s, I'd be an Eisenhower Republican. But Donald Trump is a complete disaster, and the full extent of his catastrophic presidency we are now witnessing with his response to coronavirus. So I'm happy to debate this with you and your panellists tonight. But I have pity on the United States, and I think that the Trump presidency has been an unmitigated disaster, and I think the facts show that. Don't
go anywhere. Mark Latham's currently debating in the Parliament. Alan Jones will join us before the break, so don't go to bed. Rita, I feel like we've had this chat before, but does anyone believe that there's not mass coronavirus cases and deaths in India or Indonesia or in China?
This is just deja vu all over again. I really don't even want to have this debate. To me, it's just inane. It's Trump derangement syndrome that we see in the media day in and day out, and it just doesn't, the facts don't bear it out. America's coronavirus crisis is centred in two particular spots, New Jersey and New York City Metro in particular, and I wonder if Troy spent any time looking at Andrew Cuomo's response, looking at de Blasio, or whether this is entirely Trump's fault. And if it's Trump's fault, then does he get credit for all the states that are doing very well in handling this crisis, and their numbers are comparable to the best of the countries around the world that are dealing with this, best countries in Europe and Asia and elsewhere? I just find the entire commentary on this to be so vacuous and fact-free, and I'm sick of talking about it, to be frank, because it just seems to be like we're just going over old ground over and over again.
Troy, if we have the death toll conversation, we're going to have the conversation about the largest toll in the world versus the per capita per million conversation. So I want to get to this. What's the one thing Donald Trump didn't do that he so obviously should have done?
Well, he ignored it from the start, Paul. There's no doubt about that. Then he downplayed it. Then he delayed responding to it, and then he suggested that people should consider injecting disinfectant or possibly exposing their body to ultraviolet light. He then suggested that hydrochloroquine was a game changer.
He did say
that held out great promise for dealing with coronavirus, which the Food and Drug Administration had to issue a warning. He did, of course, say that maybe we should be injecting disinfectant. There's no doubt about that.
He did not say that.
He did say it.
Oh,
Rita, I'll tell you exactly what he said. I've got it here. He said, Rita, you might learn something. He said, is there a way we could do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? He went on to say it gets into the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. Now, that is a reckless and dangerous president. And the major disinfectant companies in the United States, like Dettol, had to issue warnings to their customers, their consumers, because this was a dangerous comment by the president.
You're better than this.
Well, it is.
Yeah, okay. Let each other crack for 30 seconds and then I've got to get to Alan Jones.
Someone who does that.
Cringeworthy. This is cringeworthy. Seriously, that's inane.
All right, Troy, finish up for me, mate.
Well, in terms of the figures, I mean, the US has more than 80,000 people dead. They have 4% of the world's population, but 30% of coronavirus deaths. And Rita is quite wrong when she talks about the per capita death rate. It doesn't compare favourably to Germany or Japan or South Korea or Australia.
I never said it did. I said it compared favourably to the UK,
you said countries in Europe.
France.
You said countries in Europe. You said countries in Europe. And Germany is in Europe. And this gets to the nub This gets to the nub of the issue, Paul, which is you didn't, Rita. You didn't, Rita. You've made a number of errors already.
To put words in my mouth, and I'm not going to copy
Okay.
a load of nonsense. No, you've had your chance.
Europe.
Can I have
you said Donald Trump didn't suggest injecting disinfectant when he did.
Response, Paul?
Of course,
I'm not going to be represented by Troy here because this is just ridiculous.
Okay.
One, I said countries in Europe have got a worse per capita death rate than the US, and
Germany.
I mentioned Belgium, which does. Germany doesn't. I didn't say Germany had. I said Belgium, France, the UK, Spain, Italy, others. Okay, I said if you look at the states and you take away New York and New Jersey and you look at the states that are handling it well, some of them have better rates than some of the good performing countries in Europe, like Germany and other countries in Asia that have done really well, like Japan. So if you're going to look at the United States,
the thing about America is that it has 4% of the world's population, but 30% of coronavirus.
You've already said that. You've already said that.
All right.
Yeah,
and do you really think that we're getting all the figures from India? Do you think we're getting all the figures from China, the two most populous countries in the world?
All right, gang. All right.
I think we're really getting the actual
theory
figures.
Stuff. But there's an important point to make about the United States. Is that this is the wealthiest, most powerful, technologically and scientifically advanced nation on earth. They believe in American exceptionalism, and they should be leading the world in response to coronavirus because they're better equipped than any other nation to do so, and they're not.
All right.